campaign in mid-September this year, and it was born out of a conversation in the office actually about how terrible my team felt when we've been bullied. And we started this conversation of like, what about all these people with millions of followers who get this every single day on how must they feel? How do they get out of bed in the morning? How do they cope? Although we absolutely love social media, this is definitely a darker side of it, and it's a phenomenon that doesn't seem to be going away. So we hope tonight to have a really great, rigorous conversation about ways that we can improve the beauty bullying conversation. So to introduce our panel properly, this is Carly Rowena. So Carly is one of the UK's leading personal trainers and champions of body positivity, with an active audience of millions watching her videos each month. Carly, who, as you might have noticed, is 8 months pregnant. It's more actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty much cooked, so anyone ready to deliver will be fine.
With her first child, and she actually led Glamour's Blend Out Bullying campaign, where she gave readers an insight into the negative comments and messages she has received during her pregnancy. I mean, who can control a pregnant woman? I mean, it's just not right, is it? The video received unprecedented praise with over 70,000 views and hundreds of positive comments. The main thing Carly gets trolled about is for exercising while pregnant and damaging her baby, or being accused of damaging her baby and putting her abs before her pregnancy.
I have no abs anymore, guys.
Then next we have Ling Katie. Ling is a beauty influencer and digital entrepreneur with over 1.2 million followers on Instagram. She's attracted a cult following for her honest, insightful and yet eternally fun vlogs about skin, hair, cosmetics and style. She's a member of the L'Oreal Beauty Squad and will be hosting her first ever masterclass at Spectrum Collections this month. Next up we have Josh Newis-Smith, who I've got the pleasure of working with every day at Glamour. He's Glamour's celebrity and entertainment editor and presents his own popular YouTube blog, Joshington Hosts. Josh's blog takes a fresh and unique look at everything from latest trend advice to fashion makeovers, as well as dynamic celebrity interviews you won't find anywhere else, I can guarantee you. He's done everything for us for Glamour, from exclusively interviewing Reese Witherspoon and Oprah to going backstage at the Victoria Beckham at New York Fashion Week and hitting Victoria's Secret show with Bella Hadid.
Be recently, go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it. Next up we have Megan Barton. Megan's a model who recently found fame on ITV's Love Island, and since Megan's departure from the show she's graced the covers of Grazia and OK magazine. Megan is now focused on building her career as a model, presenter and advocate for women's rights. Good for you. Using her platform to raise awareness around issues such as female equality and empowerment. Our kind of girl. Let's start. Let's talk beauty bullying. Bullying full stop used to be in the playground or in the workplace, very much in person, and then the last few years it's gone online and it's evolved into something nasty and larger than ever before. How do you feel personally, and this is to all of you, that bullying in person is different to bullying online? We'll start with you, Carly.
I think the thing I found is when it's online, it was unexpected. I was really lucky. I grew up pre the internet, which makes me sound really old. So anything that happened to me at school or when I was growing up, it was at school and it didn't go anywhere else. But when you kind of get to the stage now where you have this amazing platform and people that you feel are kind of like your online family and friends, and then you just get this like small percentage that are just kind of grilling you for everything, whether it is positive or just a natural picture, and you're not expecting it, and it does hurt. And annoyingly, it's the one, although you get amazing comments, the one negative one is the one that you listen to the most. It's the one that stays with you that whole day, especially if you're just not feeling like you've got your force field up yet. And I think now, you know, online is something everybody has, so we're all victim to it at any point in your day. And it depends whether you're having a good or a bad day as to how much it's going to hit you.
What do you think, Lynn?
I feel like growing up in school, I was bullied really, really badly, but I was so lucky because I had teachers that I could trust, that could help support me with it. So they were the ones who helped me stop the bullying. But because of social media, what can I do? I literally can't do nothing. The only thing I can do is like if they comment something on my page, I can just delete it and straight away I'm fine. But in school it was just so different. So now it's like every day is a bit of a struggle to like ignore it, and one comment can really like bring down my mood. And you know, I do try my best to like tell myself to stay strong and don't worry about it, they don't know who you are, you got so many people who like you for you. but it is a real struggle, and that is the honest truth. Like, that's the only way I can really explain it.
And do you think there is a difference between being bullied at school by people you know and then complete strangers so you don't know where they are?
Because the bullies that bullied me in school, we ended up becoming friends. And I can't be friends with these people online because it's just so much texting. I'm just like, can't be bothered to like keep messaging you.
Girl busy.
I know, right? I've got like so much things to worry about. And it's like, you know, sometimes the people who bully me, a lot of them, they just don't want to open their mindset. They just don't want to like listen to my side of the story. They just don't want to understand me as a person. And it's like, you know, part of me is the reason why I started my own YouTube channel, so people can see me, so they know that I'm not trying to put a front on or anything. Like, this is me, I'm a happy, excited person. And some people just don't get it. And it's just so hard for me to understand how these people exist. Yeah.
Well, bullying in itself has kind of evolved quite strangely for me, because I got bullied when I was at school for being gay, newsflash. And, but what I found really empowering by getting bullied in real life is once I admitted to myself that I was actually a young gay boy, and someone would say to me, you're gay, you're this, I'd be like, and what? Like, I know. And once you could face it in that way, I found it quite empowering, and then it kind of evaporated, and it, you know, it comes up every day in the streets sometimes, and that, to be honest, affects me more than when it happens to me online, because since I've been doing YouTube, it can be very savage. Like, I've had someone write comments saying, you deserve to be locked up in prison and raped every day where you belong. Extreme stuff. And it's because I just see it as like a very faceless person that obviously using, I mean, YouTube is a platform where you don't have to necessarily have a profile your name's attached to. You can do it faceless. So you can really go in, and I feel like it's a community that can be really empowering, but can also be very hateful at the same time.
Megan?
For me, I've always used social media quite heavily. Even before Love Island, I would do like glamour modelling, so all my Instagram is where I got most of my work. Most of the people like discovered me via Instagram. And then it was more like men, they would have something to say. They'd be like, oh, you're a slag, you're getting your tits out. And then the next message would be like, oh, but I'd love to do this, this and this to you. So it's like, I kind of took that with a pinch of salt. So I'm like, okay, you can't win. But for me, the hardest thing is women, like attacking each other and tearing each other down. Yes, I've had surgery. Yes, I'm like sexually empowered. I've had sex on TV. I'm not ashamed of that. But why, as women, can't we stand together and be like, well, this is Megan's choice. Yeah, she's had surgery. I wouldn't necessarily do it. I wouldn't date as many guys as she's dated, but just because I've done it, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. I still got a good soul. So for me, it's just sad to see other women tear women down. I think we should all like stick together. So that was after.
Do you experience it in person at all when you're younger, or is it mainly been since you've been on social media?
Women, yeah. Like throughout my life, I've always been quite shy, and I think it's easy prey, isn't it? If you're a bit quiet and shy, bullies will love that. They'll be like, oh, Meg won't say anything back. So yeah, but for me, it's like worse since Love Island. I think if one person jumps on it, and it could be anything, like the tiniest thing. So I've got a really chubby thumb. One's normal, one's chubby. People have slated me for a thumb. Like, come on, can we just live? Like, it's a thumb. Leave the poor thumb alone.
Your thumb looks great.
They will, and if like one person jumps on it, like, oh my God, yeah, did you hear that? Let's go and comment about this. So it's mad. It is really mad what people like will jump on and thrive off of. And the way I look at it, these people aren't happy. If you're happy, you'll go out and live your life. You won't like sit behind a screen with no profile picture, make a fake account, and then try and drag someone else down.
Ling, is there a particular thing that you've been trolled for?
Wow. Oh, the list could go on. Everything, my race, the shape of my face, just everything. It was my skin, like 2 years ago, I had really bad acne, but I learned to love it. And even though when I was doing my makeup videos, because it was makeup on acne, everyone immediately assumes, oh my God, you're putting makeup on your acne, so you need to let your skin breathe. My skin is fine. Like, yes, I have acne, but I'm using really good products to help get rid of it. And at the end of the day, it's like, I love my skin so much, but these other people don't for me. And I just find that so crazy. It's like, really? It's just skin. It's like what you said about your thumb. It's like, it's just a thumb. Like, really now? Is it really that deep? Does it really affect you that much? So yeah, that's what really affected me. It's mostly 2 years ago it was my skin, but now it's just me as a person. But apparently that's a bad thing. Yeah.
So it's mainly your skin that people
yeah,
are
like
for.
yeah, and because I'm like so excited and I'm so
your skin looks
like
amazing today. So what?
well, 5 layers of foundation on, girl. Spent thousands of pounds on my skin. Trust me, like loads of facials over the years. Yeah, because well, I'm not gonna lie. The reason why I spent so much money on my skin was because of the hate comments, which is, it kind of makes me look like, oh, she's kind of weak, but that is the truth. Is like, yeah.
I think none of us are immune to it. I mean, if someone says horrible things about you, you look in the mirror and you sometimes hear that noise and you see that thing. So
over and over again. Yes, and it got to the point where as soon as I'd wake up, when I had acne, like really bad acne, as soon as I'd wake up, I'd run to the mirror and pray that it's gone. Right. It got to that point. And like, even though half of me was like, Ling, it's fine, it's just acne, it's adult acne, it's gonna go away. A part of me was like, oh, you have to film a video and so many people are gonna see it and they're gonna say something about it. And it's just like, it can be really hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
What about you? I mean, I'm shocked at the hate you've had for exercising while you're pregnant.
Yeah, so mine started after I announced that I was pregnant, and I've always exercised. It's been in my life. I love doing it. So it was a small percentage, but it's enough that they were hurtful, and people were saying that I was going to lose my baby, I'm killing my child, and yeah, that I was choosing like abs and exercise over the health of a baby, which is, I do exercise a lot, but I'm doing less than I was before, naturally, and I'm trained, I'm qualified, I deal with clients that are pregnant, and for me, that hour where I'm working out feels the best in the day. And if I was, throwing up or something was wrong, I wouldn't go and exercise, I'm not silly. But I think for me, I thought I hadn't taken it on board, and I remember going for my 20-week scan, which is the one where they can tell you if it's like a boy or a girl. We didn't find out, but when I got home, I just projectile vomited, and I was really lucky the whole pregnancy I hadn't been sick, and I realized that actually these people telling me that I was going to lose it had actually really affected me. And for that day, I think I'd panicked that maybe something was wrong, that actually I had, done something because everyone's telling me that I'm going to lose it. And when I got home, I was just so sick for a good couple of hours. I think it just built up. Because it's really hard to not listen to that. And
was anyone supportive in response to the haters?
So weirdly, a lot of it was Instagram DMs, and people were actually emailing me. They weren't really putting it on my pictures, and mainly YouTube was getting a lot of them because, again, you don't have to have a face. Whereas I think with Instagram, and I'm not as big on Instagram, people could know I'd probably see it, and I could go onto their profiles. So it was kind of this sort of hiding it behind, which was really tough. But over it, and I spoke out about it, and I used this campaign as well, and people did start to realize that what they're saying, it's just awful. But I think a lot of it's calmed down now because I'm coming to the end of it. They're like, oh, well, the baby's still there. But now I think I'm probably going to get it from another way, which will be after the pregnancy. Does she get her body back? Or, that kind of stuff. And it's not what you really want to focus on.
Definitely not. Definitely. How about you, Josh?
Oh my God, so I actually was discussing this with my housemate a couple of days ago because I did a video and I looked at it and I went, oh my God, it hasn't got any homophobia on it. And I was shocked. And honestly, at that moment, I was like, this is actually kind of scary that is the rule and not the exception. Whereas, you'll obviously get people being like, love you, this is so funny, you're hilarious, blah, 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 blah. But you will literally keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling down until you see the hateful comment and you're literally like, please, hate you. And you feel angered by it. But I went through so many different phases where I was like, this makes me feel so horrible about myself. Maybe I should change myself. Maybe I should tone myself down. But then actually I used it to become like an empowerment thing. And I was like, if you hate it, I'm going to do it harder. And I'm going to be more in your face. And also just click on another video. That's how I just always think when I see it. I'm just like, there's a space for everyone on social media. There's a space for someone on Instagram, there's a space for someone on YouTube. I just don't see why you have to go out your way to do it. But it's gone from being about homophobia to then being about my visual appearance. I used to have quite bad teeth along the bottom, and I used to call my teeth like my Nanny McPhee. It wasn't that bad. I wasn't like Emma Thompson Nanny McPhee. But I used to make a joke about, oh, my Nanny McPhee tooth is out. And then people would literally, especially in YouTube's very big in America, obviously, but they would, and obviously they have massive very preconceived notions of what dentistry should look like. So they will always be like, your teeth are disgusting, you should get your teeth fixed, why hasn't this boy got his teeth fixed? And you would see it would be the same people again and again and again and again and again. I'm like, God, you guys got so much time. I wish I had this much time to troll. Not that I would obviously troll, but you know what I mean. But I just found it crazy, and I actually did then get braces because of it. But that wasn't necessarily because it was a response to a hater. It was more an insecurity that I had, because like you were saying earlier about, do you look in the mirror and you see it? Yes, I can look in the mirror and I can see it, and it is something that plays onto my mind. I think the worst thing is when it taps into an insecurity that you already have. I think I'm fine with being gay, whatever, like I can't change that. So like, what, you can say whatever you like, but you can say something about my visual appearance, and sometimes I will literally look on YouTube videos and I have like a Julius Caesar nose. And I would look at it and be like, oh my God, I hate that frame of my nose. And then and I actually think someone's gonna troll me for it, which is a crazy thing, because you should be allowed to like live your best Roman nose life if you want to. And you shouldn't feel like you should have to have a nose like that. But I think it's hard, and it's a very savage place, social media, sometimes.
Megan, have you changed anything about yourself as a result of the hate?
Not really. Like, the first cosmetic surgery I had was getting my ears pinned back. So I guess that was because of like kids in the playground. They'll be like taking the piss out of me. But more for myself, like you say, if it's something on your face like acne or like your teeth, every day when you wake up, you've got to look at yourself in the mirror. And for school, you get up and your mum's like, get out of bed, get out of bed. I have 2 minutes to put my hair back. I don't want to put my hair back and have these massive ears. Like, it made me feel better. I didn't do it for anybody else. So I guess it adds to the pressure when you go to school, and then, like you say, you've already got an insecurity, and then kids will be like taking the piss a bit more. So it does add, but I think I'm very selfish and very stubborn, so I'll just do it for me. That's the thing. I never planned to go on a reality show, and people will always slate me for having surgery because these young girls will look up to you. But when I made these decisions and done it, I didn't do it for anyone else other than me. I didn't think, oh, I'm going to go on a reality show. All these young girls will go to their surgery and be like, oh, I'm going to look like Megan. But if it wasn't me and I didn't have surgery, it would be someone else in the public eye. Angelina Jolie, Kylie Jenner, like there's always someone. So I think you've got to be a little bit selfish. And that's what I've done. But for me, it's mainly the surgery and being fake, and then being a slag because I had sex on TV and I was a glamour model and a stripper. So yeah.
I'm going to go on to that in a minute, actually. Did you reduce the amount of exercise you were doing at all because of the hate, or were you obstinate as well, and did you just think, I'm just going to do it anyway?
I didn't reduce the amount of exercise. I think I reduced what I shared, which made me sad because I'd always been so honest online, and I did find myself thinking, I'm just maybe not going to post it this time. But do you know what, the same thing happened actually. I was thinking when you guys were talking about this, before I was pregnant, I had quite visible abs. I got hate for those. People told me I looked like a man for them. Right. So people were never ever happy no matter what I had. And I remember then I used to try and not do an ab workout so that my abs would maybe go away. But that was where I'd got to with my body. So I think it does affect you because you just know that they're going to say what you've probably always been worried about. But I have to say, with every kind of year that you grow up, you do kind of just go, this is just bullshit and I'm not taking it anymore. So yeah, I ended up posting it all, and now I think I actually do, right, well this one will be for a little bit like people that have like a foot fetish. Now I'm like, okay, well this is for the foot fetish people, my feet are going to go on there more. And you just kind of end up going, fine, I'll share it, and you just know it's going to come. But I think if you're anticipating it and you're kind of going about it a bit like, well fine, then it's good. But you do have to get to that point where you're like, I'm ready to just take it on.
Do you think this is just another, I mean, sorry, I know you're a man, but do you think this is just another form of women bashing, motherhood, sexuality? Do you think this is just a new form of it?
Wow, I heard some things. My friend was on the train and she literally heard two 14-year-old girls on the train saying, oh, I can't wait to go home so I can like troll on YouTube.
What?
So, yeah.
Is that
like it's like a hobby.
Like it's an actual hobby, like, oh, this is my career.
Oh,
like, this is what goes through their heads. And I'm just there thinking, it's just life right now. Like, two 14-year-old girls really excited to go home to troll on other people's accounts. It's gotten that deep. And this is not, like, I'm so glad Glamour is talking about cyberbullying, because not many people are. Like, some people are scared, and some people think that if they talk about it, it's not going to be recognized enough. So I'm so glad I'm able to actually share it with you guys, because it's shocking. It's real shocking behavior, and I hope one day schools can talk about cyberbullying as well as bullying on the playground, because back in the day when there was B-Bowl, I also got trolled as well. And I think that was like the beginning when social media platforms started developing, and next thing you know, YouTube, and then next thing you know, you can make a career out of social media. It just developed and it just became more and more aggressive. So
I think it's the invisibility.
Yeah.
Do you think, I mean, you know, sexual double standards is nothing new. We've had it since the beginning of time, as I said. Do you think it's just the invisibility and the anonymity of people that gives them the courage to then say these things to you?
I think not even on like Instagram, YouTube, you don't have to put a profile picture. You can just set up an account in a matter of minutes, go onto someone that you don't like if you're having a bad day, and like try and drag them down just because you're not feeling so good. And that's what I try and tell myself, because it does sting, it does hurt when you get these negative comments. But I think the person making this fake account and spending their time, I had an essay the other day saying to me about what a slag I was, that Wes deserves better, and then the same girl messaged Wes and said, oh, you do realise she's going to cheat on you, get out now while you can, blah blah blah. And I think really it's her who should be feeling sad, not me. She's obviously really unhappy in her life that she has to take time out to write essays to both of us. Surely it's saying something more about her than me, but it's brave. Like, it gives people a chance to be brave, but not saying it to your face. I've never once, touch wood, had any hate in person. It's always been on like social media. And like,
You said to me last week you were shocked at the difference between the hate you and Wes got for the same thing.
exactly. Like, he's my boyfriend. I don't want him to get any like hate at all. But he done exactly the same as me. He had sex with Laura, then had sex with me. No one bats an eyelid. No one says, oh, what a slag, what's he done that for, what a player. But because I've done it with a man and I'm a female, how do you, every interview, how do you think your parents feel? How do you feel about that? Do you regret it? Are you ashamed? No, I'm not. I'm a woman. I went on a dating show and I took the experience with both hands, and I'll do that in the outside world, and I've done it in there. I'm not going to be a different person just because there's cameras watching me. I do think it's interesting though that Wes didn't get like a single thing, or Adam.
I have to, sadly, I'm not surprised. It's just the way it is still.
It is sad,
Yeah,
like
it is
2018
sad.
and it's still the same.
It is the same.
But I also think as well, I had this discussion with, I did an interview with Rita Ora and Cara Delevingne about beauty bullying a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about where do we think it all starts from. Actually, I think the media has got a massive, massive part to play in it, because what they love is the downfall. They don't love the rise. So if someone's rising up, they want them to get to a certain level and then bring them back down. And I think especially with you, they'd be like, they want to tear women down, which is crazy. So I think the discussions that media people have, and we have discussions like this all the time, because as a publication, especially as a journalist, I take great pride in being a massive feminist, and I want to empower women. So every interview I do, I don't want to catch them out. I don't want to be trying to get some sort of line out of them that shames them for their behavior. I want to be like, look, this is an amazing woman. Let's like build them up. And I feel like, I know it sounds like I'm bigging myself up, but I really wish that more journalists were like that. And I think if they stopped doing stuff like trying to drag women down, and men as well, I think it would be a much more empowering world. And I think then these girls who are 14 will feel like it's not justified. Because if they see it in mass media still has such a massive power. I know we talk about like it's a social media revolution, but that mass media does enforce all those old school traditional values, which are just prehistoric as far as I'm concerned.
Obviously, you know, the platforms on which you're all being trolled on also have to, and are joining part of this conversation, are very aware of it, and they're bringing in strategies and tactics to help you. Do you think that they're going far enough to help you? Is there a recommendation you'd make to the social media platforms that could help you in some way?
Like, it's been going on for such a long time. All you get, report abuse. You report it.
And does that help?
No.
Do you report abuse? Do you report abuse?
Yeah, I've definitely, I've found, and also now I just block people because I haven't got the time for that, and I'm like, let's just move on. But then the horrible part is actually then find you somewhere else. You block on one point, and then you've got, and also I used to get to the point where I think, well, I won't reply. But then I do want to reply because I want to stand up for myself. But then when you reply, they'll screenshot it, and then their tribe of people who think the same way as them will read it different. Because it's different me talking to you than me typing to you. You can't get the way I'm saying it, and you have to be so cautious. And then it means that we can't actually say anything back, because whatever we say could be taken the wrong way. Which is why video, I find like Instagram stories or YouTube's handy, because you can talk and you guys can feel what I'm saying to you, and I'm not being aggressive back. But it's I think with the Instagram and reporting abuse, they're just going to get an aggressive message saying, or giving them a warning, and it doesn't get resolved. It's not going to go anywhere.
No. Do you block? Or do you respond?
I used to respond with like really sassy comments, and then like I'd be like, especially if like the simple ones like, "You're gay," and I'm like, "Woo! You won a competition. You got it right." Like, I mean, come on, like, but. I'm more about, like, now, I've come to this, I know we were talking about as you get older as well, but my validation doesn't come from online, and that's become quite a long, like, that's been quite a difficult thing to me to come to terms with, and actually all my validation now comes from myself. And I think once you place the validation within yourself, then those kind of people can't really get to you anymore. So I just let them live their hating lives on YouTube if they really want to. That's how they get their kicks. They've probably got their own problems anyway. And I think that's also a really important point, because most of these people who are going online and spreading this hate have such awful negativity inside of them, and they've got so many problems. Because like when you speak to most celebrities, they'll be like, "What do you do to the haters?" Like, it's become quite a generic question, for instance. And they will turn around and be like, "You know, I've actually engaged with them, and then actually once I've engaged with them, I found out they have these horrific problems, like they've had awful family issues, and they're using this as a way to vent." I mean, I'm not saying that's justified, because you shouldn't make yourself feel better by tearing someone else down, but I think there needs to be a bit more appreciation for everyone's backstory as well. And I think once we can unlock that, then we can try to eradicate the hatred.
How do you become more resilient? I mean, resilience is a big topic at the moment. Obviously, it's not something you're born with, it's a muscle that grows. How have you grown that muscle? How have you become more resilient?
When I first come out of the villa, we filmed the final, and then an ITV guy took me in an office and just said, "Right, these are all the negative stories that come out about you," and there were loads, like maybe 10, and he like told me them in a space of 5 minutes. So I was just like, "Oh my God, I don't want to leave this little bubble now, I just want to stay here." Then I come out and it was like so much negativity. My mum was in tears because obviously we couldn't speak, and she was just like, "So much hate against you." She was like, "I'm so worried how you'd react when you came out." So it was a shock at first, and I'm not going to lie, it is like human nature. You want to kind of even though I knew it was going to be all negative, I did go on the Daily Mail comments and read it. And then you think, after that day of like kind of wallowing in self-pity, and you're like, okay, well that's shit, it's not doing anything positive. So after reading that for the first maybe day or two, Wes would be like, "Why are you doing that?" And nothing positive comes from it. And I think, like I said, it's all the same sort of comments, like "you're fake," "you're a slag," stuff like that. And once you've heard it once, yeah, it stings, but you can hear it a million times, you're still going to have the same effect. So I just try not to read into it too much. And I think the more you get it, the more, and it's a blessing and a curse. I'm so grateful to be given the Love Island platform and to be able to reach. I get so many positive messages from women as well, talking about like anxiety, and girls who have worked in the sex industry, and like, "You make me feel normal. You're the first person to like speak about it and make it like be normal." So I just let the positive outweigh the negative. I could sit there all day and feel sorry for myself, but I just try and focus on the positive.
What about you, Ling? How do you become more resilient to it?
It's hard being resilient. It's so hard. Like every day, as soon as I post something, or if someone reposts me, the worst one is when someone reposts my videos, like those really big viral makeup pages that repost my videos. I'll click on the comment section, there'll be like thousands and thousands of like hate comments. I'm not over exaggerating, guys. It's like so many hate comments, and there's probably like 5, 6 positive comments like, "Oh yeah, I like her, I follow her page." And then the rest is like, "Ugh, she's so annoying. Ugh, I blocked her and I still see her face." There's me thinking, I'm glad you still see my face. Even though you blocked me. Exactly. I was just like, I'm glad you can still see me, because as you can see, I'm still happy, right? But you know, sometimes you gotta like turn things over and kind of, it's not a joke. Bullying is not a joke. But if you can tell yourself that you shouldn't take this too seriously, and if you can tell yourself, I should actually laugh at this situation, because they can't physically touch you, they can't meet you in person and say this verbally to your face, because I guarantee you, 100% of the time, they are so scared to say it to your face. They will be shook. If anything, if they see you, they'll be like, "Oh my God, I just saw her, oh my God, yeah, I'm gonna tell everyone on social media that I saw this girl," like, literally, because they like to, bullies are so weird, right? They will hate you, but they like to use you. It's just so messed up. But yeah, but in terms of being resilient, it's hard. Like every day you just got to keep telling yourself, you got to be your own best friend. And that's one of the hardest things to do, is putting yourself first. Be a little selfish. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Be a little selfish, put yourself first, be your own best friend, give yourself a cuddle, give yourself a night off. Don't rely on your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your dog or your cat to make yourself feel good. Rely on yourself.
Have you actually got any proper coping strategies? Have you been to see a counsellor? Have you read books on it? This is to all of you. Have you spoken to friends? What do you do? What's the kind of practical tips that you could share with other people who might experience this, that they could take away from this talk today?
I actually I got a counsellor this year, not for social media or for bullying, but I found that we worked through other issues and things, but I found that now it's something I can talk to her about. Actually, sometimes it is just nice to talk to someone and say, look, this is happening, and then they'll be like, oh, how ridiculous, how stupid, and it's happening to this person and that person. And the other thing I've realised is when someone does say a negative comment and it hurts because there's some part of me that believes it. So I had to address those things that people are saying and think, no, okay, look, I know what I'm doing is right, and I'm going to sit down and talk about it, and then I can then share more information as to why I know this isn't true, that kind of thing. But I think the main thing I did was ask for help from other people, so don't suffer in silence when you do feel like it's just becoming overwhelming, especially when you're young and you're at school. Like, definitely don't not tell anybody if that's happening, and like, you know, print screen it, save it so you can prove that it's there if you need to, and speak to an adult. And then when you become an adult and you're where we are, just talk to your friends. And sometimes, like, if someone does post something horrendous, I'll put it on Twitter and be like, guys, got this one today, and the whole world will be like, down thumbs, or even on YouTube actually, if you get a negative comment, I'm sure you've had it, your followers will just put the thumbs down on it and it's gone.
Shaming the shamers, basically.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, I've even had it today, someone just messaged me and was like, I hate you, and I was like, that sucks, and they were, oh my gosh, I love you, you replied. And I was like, okay. So a lot of it is just nonsense, people just not thinking. So yeah, asking for help, I definitely say is just the best thing that I ever did. And then the ones that really do get to you, like maybe the thumb or the nose or whatever it is, think, why is this an issue, and try and fix that, which we've all done by getting whatever teeth fixed. And
what about you guys? Any of you?
I think actually, I mean, this is not contrary to what you're saying, is I do think you should speak to people if you experience anything like this. But the biggest lesson for me is learning to rely on myself, actually. And like you were saying, learning to become your own best friend, because once I become comfortable in myself, then I can't take on anyone's negative energy. And that's something I've been really looking at doing over, say, like the last 6 months. I don't take on anyone's energy anymore. Like, if you've got, I just think it's your issue. Like, for instance, if one of my friends has an issue, I'm like, that's your problem. Like, obviously, if I've been negative or it's my fault, then I'm the first person to sit there and go, look, I'm really sorry for that. But if someone's going to come at me with any kind of like energy that isn't welcome inside my space, I'm like, that's your issue. It's fine. I'll be like, on to the next thing. And I think that's something that I've really learned in, say, like the last year. And that's been the most valuable lesson I've learned, be it with your friends, your family, at work, be it online. I think that is the biggest lesson to take away.
Yeah, you do have to be a little bit selfish, 100%. Especially in this industry, I think everyone's got an opinion, and I think just having like a blue tick or so many followers, or being on a reality show, having a successful YouTube channel, people think that these comments won't hurt you. We're still a person. We still go home and get in bed at night and think, oh, that was a bit shit, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean we're like, yeah, it is hard, but yeah, you just be a bit selfish.
I mean, anxiety around social media is a huge conversation. Has it given any of you anxiety?
Oh my god, yeah. Really bad. Like, because like 2.5 to 3 years ago, I dropped out of uni, I didn't have a proper job, I wasn't really working, I was doing like little bartending jobs just to like help me get by. I was relying on my boyfriend a lot in terms of finances. I had to move out of my mum's because there was a lot of family issues, and like that was a really dark tunnel. So when I started to use Instagram as an escape route to do like makeup videos, I didn't want to be a makeup blogger. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just using Instagram makeup videos as a way to escape from all the negativity that was already going on in my life. So when my videos did start to get more recognition and I was going through this, you know, the cyberbullying, it just brought me down so much more. And it's like, you don't know what that person is going through. You don't know where that person came from. You don't know if that person's struggling to buy dinner, because that was me. So like, to do these videos on my platform and to have loads of people cuss me for my looks, for my skin, for my hair, for my race. And then there's me thinking like, what the hell, like I'm already struggling to like buy food and I'm already getting this. So it's a bitch, cyberbullying, what it can do to someone. Yeah.
Have you ever suffered anxiety from it, Josh? Well, you in the past, but certainly not now.
Not now, but I don't think it's ever really made me feel anxious. It's made me feel sad. But I feel like sadness and anxiety are very different things. I'm not very an anxious person anyway. I've always been very resilient. And I think basically I would say the resilience is the thing is my key thing, resilient. In everything I've ever done is being resilient and being dog determined. So I never really have let it cause me epic amounts of anxiety, I would say.
For me, I've always on and off suffered with like depression, anxiety, and for me the biggest thing is when I'm having a down day, when I'm not feeling good, don't go and look for it to then punish myself further. I'd find myself doing that a lot. If I had a bad day and I'd be like, not good, I'd be like, well, go and read it then because you deserve to read it, all these comments are true, and then Wes would be like, why are you doing that? You're just feeding into it. So I think it's eye-opening. Like before I was single for 3 years and I would have these habits and coping mechanisms, but living with someone else, it can really help you. So I think the fact, if you're having a down day, have a day off of social media. You don't have to have it every single day. And even for my job, yeah, it's useful when I'll have deadlines to meet and post to post, but of priority again, be selfish, like look after yourself first. When I was in the villa, it was the best I ever felt, and that was no social media, stripped back, no money, no material things, no like designer bags, it was just you and other people, and it's the happiest I've felt.
Wow, amazing.
And I bet no one knows that.
No.
I bet because people just look at you like, oh, she's on TV, yeah, but they don't. So yeah, but they don't really feel it, which is interesting.
Okay, I'm going to wrap up now before we go get some questions. But before I do, and none of you know about this apart from you, Josh, I'm going to do a very quick fire round. I'm going to give you an option, a dilemma, and I just want to tell me it's very easy. Okay. It's a lot of fun. I just want to tell me what your thoughts are. So, first of all, Instagram or YouTube?
Oh, Instagram.
Instagram.
YouTube.
Instagram.
Strictly.
X Factor.
X Factor. Shamefully. It's become the thing that everyone's like, I still watch X Factor, sorry.
Kendall. Kylie.
This is like Sophie's choice. I don't know. I'm going to go with Kylie, Rap Our Cover Girl.
Yeah, Kylie. Love Kylie.
Jeremy Corbyn or Theresa May?
Neither. Yeah, pass. Pass on that one.
Okay. Pass.
I'm going to go with Theresa, just because she's resilient. That's the only thing good takeaway. She's very resilient.
I'll pass. I'm not clued up on this. Not going to lie.
And lastly, mistletoe or wine?
Oh, wine.
Mistletoe.
Mistletoe.
Mistletoe or wine?
Mistletoe right now, wine in the bucket loads.
Mistletoe.
Who's under the mistletoe with you?
My partner.
I'm going to go mistletoe.
And who's
Frisky Christmas.
Who's there with you?
To be continued.
Copious amounts of wine, the mistletoe.
Oh, but we know who's under the mistletoe with you. So.
Unless Tom Hardy's around.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today. It's been really enlightening and hopefully helpful to everybody watching this. We're going to open it for some questions. Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask? So I'm just going to repeat that question because they didn't hear it. So the question was, are you ever your own bully?
Yeah. I've unfollowed a lot of people in my time as well. Because I encourage a lot of people to, like, I used to find before I liked myself as much as I do now that I would kind of follow people in the hopes of being more like them, I think. And when I realized just how, when I was scrolling through things or watching things, it was giving me such a negative feeling. When I realized if I just clicked unfollow, and it wasn't their fault, it was all my fault, I felt so much better. So I do say to a lot of my followers, just, you know, it might be for like a day or for a week or for a year, that person's not done anything, but there's something that's going on between you and that person that isn't making you feel good. And if they're not making you feel good, they don't want to make you feel bad. So it's time to kind of unfollow and then maybe come back later. That's definitely one thing I've found myself doing more of.
I wouldn't say Is it bullying? I don't know. Sometimes, can pushing yourself be classified as bullying?
No.
No? Yeah, okay.
I think that's just a positive thing.
I don't know, because like sometimes, I don't know.
You mean being too hard on yourself?
Yeah, like sometimes, I mean, it's come from like my parents, because my parents always pushed me to work really, really hard. Like sometimes I'll stay up to like 5, 6 in the morning and I won't see people for months just working on YouTube and Instagram. And I don't want to classify that as bullying. I want to classify that as just being way too hard on yourself. So ignore me.
No, it's a very valid point. I think a lot of us do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I've always suffered from anxiety, and I think in itself, that's not feeling good about yourself. So even sitting here, I get nervous. I'm like, I can't sit up there with all these people and talk in front of a room full of people. So I think always not feeling good enough is something. And then when other people are telling you that as well, it just feeds into that. So yeah, that's why I just try not to read it, because it is just like fueling the fire and like the little insecurities in my mind. So that's why I think coming off for even a day or half an hour, if you're like just feeling a bit shit, go out, go for a run, walk around, like do something that like fills your heart with happiness rather than looking for these comments and something, because at the end of the day, social media is just people's highlights. People aren't going to put on social media, do you know what, I just walked around the park and stepped in dog shit. No one's going to say that. They're just going to put all these highlights. So if you're not feeling good about yourself, get off.
What would you say?
If you could go back to one of your darkest times and give yourselves an emergency piece of advice, what would it be?
I think it would probably just be within itself that you're still here and that happened. For a lot of my clients who struggle with anxiety, we talk through the situation that's giving them the anxiety, almost like a rehearsal. We'll go do it. So this kind of thing freaks me out, talking in front of people, but I've done it so many times in my head that it's okay. Or so, for example, when I was really freaking out about posting a video of me doing a workout pregnant, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to show it to my mum. She loved it. Great. That's fine. It's up there and it will be okay. I think one thing, if you can just, you know, that if you can run through like a rehearsal, it already takes out a lot of the fear, because you already know you can do it, and then it's just doing it. And we're all here from all of these darkest moments that we've all had. We're all here. And every day it gets easier, I think, definitely.
I think my advice, if I was to go back in time, if I could go back to that 3 years ago where I was struggling, I would literally tell myself, you will be okay. Your whole entire family will rely on you. And I think that's what I'd say to myself. Yeah.
I think the best piece of advice I ever got was when I was working at Topshop when I was like 16, and a girl said to me, I think in life is transient. And that's got me through so many difficult times, because I always just think how I feel now is not how I'm going to feel in a day, it's not how I'm going to feel in a week, it's not how I'm going to feel in a month or a year or 10 years. And I also now feel like I've had this like 5-year rule. So if I know that I think, will this bother me in 5 years? And I think if it doesn't, it's not worth my time. If it does, then I take it on and address it. But I think that's the most valuable piece of advice I would give myself.
I love that, the 5-year rule.
Yeah.
I'm gonna live
And then you're literally just like, bye. Bye, Felicia, don't need this anymore. It's great. It's the best, it's so liberating, because you just don't panic.
Yeah, I just think the same like cliche thing, like it will get better, it will. You can't always be like, I wouldn't be here now if I would have been self-indulgent and thought, oh, well, I'm resigned to failure, I'm anxious, I'm nervous. I don't know what, I've wasted so many years of my life. I would have still been in a pub drinking in Southend. I wouldn't have been on Love Island, I wouldn't be here. So it will get better.
I also think it's just so amazing that all these guys have turned something negative into an empowering thing.
Yes.
And I feel like if we spread more positivity, and this is what I feel like a really good message out what you guys said, because I got to know you over like a month and so, and I think especially what you've done, like turning all this negative, you could literally have gone within yourself and become a hermit. I just think it's so commendable that you've like come out here and shown girls and guys, regardless of gender as well, that there's so much positive to take from negativity. I just thought I'd just say that, because I was just thinking it, babes.
Have you ever shared anything on social media that in retrospect you wish you hadn't because of the backlash that ensued?
I think that sounded like we all have from
Yeah.
that moment there.
Every Saturday night when I go out with my friends.
I think the thing with social media is it's an amazing platform. You never know what you're going to do is going to have upset one person or maybe you know, you didn't know a backstory on something, or what you just never know what's going to trigger people. And I think we've probably, I know I've had moments where I've shared something that I've thought this is epic, and then it's turned out to be an absolute lie that someone else has created, and that happens a lot. And you kind of fuel the fire. It's like, oh, you join in on something that everyone really cares about, but your one tweet is the one that everyone goes like hammer for. I think, yeah, social media, it does make you think a little bit more before you join in on something. Because one, it could go swings and roundabouts very, very quickly.
Yeah. For me, it's sharing my beliefs. So like, I'm against like racism and bullying and all of that. So if I was to ever talk about it, I would just get shit for it. I'm just like, seriously, I'll just get so much shit for it. But it's like, it's just so annoying. It's like, I could stand up for the LGBT community and then someone would be like, but you're not lesbian, so how can you speak for us? I'm just like, I'm here to support you. I donate a lot of my makeup products to like different types of charities. If I was to say that on social media, and if I was to be specific what type of charity it is, someone would be like, what about this charity? Why don't you help them out? And it's like, I am trying my best to help every single person out there. Believe me, I do try my best. So just shut the fuck up. That's what goes through my head.
You just can't win. I just think, like, someone's gonna hate something, like, you'll probably get some thirsty boy send you a message if you post a topless picture. Then you'll probably get someone being like, put your body away. And then you get your mum messaging being like, what are you doing? Like, so I feel like there's always different horses to different courses, I would say. Yeah, you can't please them all, but definitely I would say regret definitely comes after I've been on a night out and I've posted something. And it's mostly just maybe my friend dancing around a pole. And then your boss is like, did you have a casual night last night? And then you're like, yeah! And she's like, boom. No references. But no, I think maybe I've become a bit more aware about being more self-edited, I would say. I definitely don't talk about politics, ever. Ever. It's just...
Apart from tonight.
Apart from tonight.
Yeah. This is different. This is
yeah.
This is something that we all believe in, that no one is talking about.
Did you say politics?
Yeah.
Theresa May?
Well, I was more saying for the resilience, because I admire the resilience, but not necessarily everything else. Yeah.
One, I got a comment, like a hate comment from a lady, and then I posted it. She's like, I can't get over how much of a slut, no, I can't handle how much of a slut you are. So then I screenshot that, put it on my story. I was like, it was a good job. Wes can handle how much of a slut I am.
Yeah.
She went mad. She was like, now I'm getting bullied. Because I have like 1.8. She's like, all your followers are now messaging me. And it's like what you said earlier, you don't know someone's backstory. She could have been having a really shit day. I don't know her story. She's come back from work. She's seen that. I thought, oh, you're a slag, and just typed it out of anger. And then I've gone and added more. So I did regret that, but that was like early days of coming out. Now I just let it go.
Sexuality is such a crazy thing though, because I feel like it's still something that people have a go at people about being sexually empowered. Because we had a discussion when we did the Gwyneth Paltrow interview, and we had her on our cover, and she talked quite openly about empowering women and how it's great that women are having healthy orgasms, it leads to a healthy life. And then people would tear into her for it. And you're like, why is it so negative that women are so in control of their sexuality? And I think people still find it scary, but I also think that comes from a very jealous place as well.
And I think it's very old-fashioned view, like women walking down the aisle in a white dress, she has to be all virgin or brand new. The man could have gone out and shagged her once the night before in a stag do. So it's very old-fashioned, I think.
Last question. So the question is, do you think that help and advice is best comes from influencers or panels and talks like this in terms of dealing with beauty bullying?
Yeah, I think it needs to come from all angles, to be honest. And I also think it needs to come from, like, as soon as you're born, you know, you need to be educated how to be nice to other people. I think a filter has been lost by us having so many filters. I would never dream of talking to people the way that we've been spoken to. It's just not something that would ever happen to me, and I'm sure most of you guys would never dream of saying these things or thinking these things. So something has been lost with those people, and I think it's something for the parents and the teachers, for us online, for everybody to just kind of say, guys, people have feelings, can we not talk that way? It's the same as, you know, if you've got something nice to say, then don't say anything at all. That was what I had as a kid. And I think we just need to reinstall that. People need
to bring that back.
Yeah, I think it's just bringing back that filter, having a bit more respect for people and thinking before you say something. And unfortunately we have this platform, which means we don't have to think before we say it, but it has really negative complications afterwards. So yeah, I think just break the filter a little bit.
I think otherness is a really massive issue in humanity in general, because I think there's always going to be a pack mentality where you're going to try and like fight off the weaker species or whatever. Like that is human nature, it's ingrained in human nature. And I think the major issue that schools need to address is this subject of otherness. And I think everyone should talk about that and be like, there's no such thing as an other, we're all human beings, we're all entitled to be on this earth, regardless of sexual orientation, race, whether you've had sex on TV, whether you haven't. Like, I feel like there needs to be more discussion amongst parents especially, but like you were saying, I think it has to be a 360 approach, and I think it has to come at all angles, and I think making sure Kylie Jenner's talking about it is amazing. She's talked about it. Then having like a news story on the 6 o'clock news is amazing. Maybe like some of the same facts I've heard about beauty bullying, that like 16 million posts are deleted due to beauty bullying every year. Like, it's insane. Those need to become headlines. It needs to become a discussion. I think through discussing it, we can work out our differences and address them.
Well, I'd like to say something I haven't said yet, is that our campaign has been in association with the Diana Award, and they offer amazing help for online cyberbullying, and there are charities out there, there are experts, there are people to talk to, and I think really as individuals who aren't lucky enough to be here tonight or can't meet with a panel like this to help, I think definitely those helplines and charities like the Diana Award are definitely the people to turn to for some help and advice and some resilience and tactics. And I think, you know, small acts of kindness and supporting people who that you see are being bullied online goes a long way. Thank you so much. You've been absolutely brilliant.